Welcome to another episode of Signal and Symptoms podcast. November has been crazy for all of us. It's been insane. We had some guests on and then we realized that we really need to catch up on some of these important things. So we're going to go ahead and give you sort of a feedback loop on what we have discussed till now and then move forward. Especially in the new year, we're going to plan more and more intelligence coming from right at the level of deployment and development. So Harvey, starting with you, you're an ABIM course graduate. So am I. I think I did the basic. Did you do the advanced one yet or no?
Yeah, I did all and got all 3 certificates, and then I'm faculty now with them, or guest faculty.
I don't know how you do. Do you actually sleep, dude?
My digital twin goes there, and we can go there in a little bit, and he takes care of things for me. So
again. So just to let you know, this was, again, very thanks to Anthony Chang. I mean, the first book was Deep Medicine by Eric Topol. That was my inspiration. Then I found Anthony Chang and ABIM. This was the start of my entrepreneurship journey. Understanding how AI is so important is going to change the world, and we have been talking about this. But those who have not done it, I would highly recommend to take that course. Me, Harvey, and Ed are working very hard to bring this course to Dallas. We don't know when, but we will be working extremely hard to have something here in Dallas for our people here in Dallas too, so that it is available to multiple people. Okay, let's go to keynote stage, leading AI-driven transformation. I know you were not there, you were flying at that time, Ed, but when you are looking at Holds enormous potential, what was your key takeaways, or what was the whole year? Think about it. I just want to bring these topics from this because those are excellently written. What, Ed, would you recommend 3 key learnings this year and the next, and how to sort of strategize for the next year with leading AI-driven transformation?
Yeah, well, I think one is to subscribe and listen to this podcast.
Love it.
No, sure.
I love it.
That was not pre-planned, and I don't mean it as a commercial, but it's true. There's not a lot of strong routine content out there yet, and so I love, Junaid, what you're doing. You're organizing us on a weekly basis, and we're really pushing the envelope. I mean, you're always presenting the latest and greatest coming out. I learn a lot. I'm part of this podcast team, and I sit here and I just learn a lot just listening and watching and all the discovery that you're doing. So the first thing is you've got to get in the game. And whether it's this podcast or some other sources, you've got to get in the game. The second thing I learned from, being there and, reflecting on the year is you've got to utilize the tools yourself. So it's great that you listen, that you subscribe to this podcast or other sort of learnings. But if you're not exploring yourself, you're not really learning, right? It's one thing we all know to listen and to observe, but it's next level if you actually do something. So everyone can grab something to learn. The example that you were giving on how you would create a strategy document, that's an example, but it could be more simple for some of the audience who haven't taken that step yet. It's as simple as, hey, the next time you create a PowerPoint, leverage some sort of AI tool. And that's really the third thing is, what's in your toolbox, and it should always be changing. I think think that's the best way. So you might find a couple of applications, there's my favorite. We'll have our favorites that we use, but don't get stuck on those. Always look for something new. What else is out there leading the way? So those are sort of my 3 takeaways. And I think if you do that, right, if you're always learning, have your go-to sources to always learn, then you're applying these things, and then you're mixing the 2 together, like you're not only learning, but you're applying and executing. I think that's the best thing. Those are the 3 takeaways from me.
Harvey, 3 takeaways in when you heard, and especially you were on the stage so much. By the way, I couldn't find much of your pictures, so you just send it to me, and then we'll put it in the. I'm sorry, I should have taken pictures. I was just intent on listening on to you. So next time I'm going to remember taking more pictures. But anyways, 3 very basic one-liners if you are in an institution, imaging center, clinic, urgent care, emergency department, through this whole conference and the whole year, what are your 3 takeaways?
The first one, reflect on Martec's law, meaning our technology is exponential and our organizations, and I extract it down to our individuality, can be very logarithmic, meaning the way we do things. And the take home point is when those two become a huge gap, then a disruption happens. So apply that at your work, apply that to yourself. And so that leads to the extract point of you need to know these tools, or else another company or organization will know them better and they will take over your company. And that is the truth. That will happen. Second point, it's look at these tools like riding a bike. The more you understand them, the more you're using them, the more efficient you'll be and the more comfortable you'll be. And then the right limiting step is our culture, ourselves. If you don't know what you don't know how to use these tools. And so my analogy is look back. Look back when you first or looked at ChatGPT and your initial thoughts and how you used ChatGPT, and now reflect on how you're using those today. And then ask yourself, what changed? And the answer is the culture, the understanding, the education of that tool. And now you're accepting and doing things that you wouldn't do back then. So those are my 3 points.
Well said. So 3 points for me. First of all, it was a very good introduction. And then from a startup perspective, just solve for pain points and then build solutions that are scalable and modular. So we developed ClinOps, which is our IZANB, and then we have RedOps, which is our Radio View AI. And then we created a whole data operations system, which connects with any PACS, DICOM, EHR, or large data exchange platforms. And then we are creating new value-oriented systems, which could be continuous opportunity monitoring, AI clinical analysis, AI quality assurance, whatever that case may be. And the one that we are building in the process of building is acute care neurology, in which everything, both imaging, findings, QA, virtual care, or physical care, legal operations, whatever the verification needs to be, etc., and specific node navigators that are classic for this. So and then we are, of course, creating an AI chat summary, which is going to be very important as we go along. And this is not only, again, applicable to one pain point. This is a system that we built that can be used for personal injury while you're doing QA extraction for motor vehicle accident. So my thought process was that first it was an internal sort of thank you for doing it, Junaid, that, you have to build systems that can perform in an ever-changing world. That's what Ed said and Harvey said. Secondly, how would the software ever change? And that is what we built here at Save Life AI. And what we are trying to do over here is, they said, that constant learning. I mean, you will not believe that how much I have to read in terms of research papers, everything, blogs, newsletters, etc. You have to be constantly learning. I feel like there was a little bit less so, Harvey, in terms of nursing. Would you say that nursing is a little behind in terms of even as simple as AI scribe? And how were we going to, because they are, to be honest with you, more important than, I'm just being honest, and I know some physicians are going to hate me for it, but I cannot run an ICU without my nurses. And they're superb, amazing human beings. But again, Harvey, what would your thought would be? How do we bring in nursing, occupational therapists, physical therapists? By the way, my AI scribe works for even a lactation nurse. But just letting you know, like, how do you bring all of these different amazing providers, again, representing 20% of GDP of USA, into the fold of AI?
I really, Dr. Chang's a good friend of mine, and I love that has this course. And I think number one is the education, right? I always repeat myself. We don't know what we don't know. So by going by these courses and we understand, now we start seeing, I really think it's elevating the AI IQ. The more we understand this AI, the better, and the more likely we're going to start using these tools.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a few leaders out there that we know in nursing and that are sort of pioneering and leading the way. And I think I think we need a lot more. What happens, and it's not dissimilar to what we're talking about with PCP and physicians, is we get used to a certain way of doing things, and the infrastructure behind us is a way of doing things. And so imagine if you're a nurse and you have all these great ideas and you get this, you could lead these courses that you go back to your traditional hospital. What are you going to do? Hey, we're changing this completely. Then you're going to get unions involved. And so unions are, as we know, I think we've probably covered some articles in the past. Unions kind of get involved. Wait, time out. You can't do this. Danger, danger, danger. Why are they like that? Well, in part because they're protecting jobs. So you have this whole culture in two different ways. One will be from unions that are, hyper focused on protecting jobs, which I understand, and I love, and I'm not saying anything negative about unions. They got a good place in some areas, very very helpful years ago, and all that kind of stuff. But they're very hyper protective of jobs and what AI is going to do. And then again, your own culture. So if you're a leader and you're like, hey, AI is going to change nursing and we need to adopt this and adopt that, you're going to get a lot of pushback in your organization because wait, we're not structured like that. This is whole transformative change. And that's why, again, I go back to my primary thesis that if we are unwilling to bend and change and be sort of aggressive on this timeline, something new is going to come in and disintermediate healthcare as we know it today. That's my prediction.
Yes, so true. And I have to reiterate it. The timelines are getting so shorter. I mean, I just showed you. I mean, Gemini 2.5 and Gemini 3 is insane. Which brings us to the next question. Harvey, what do you think about DeepSeek and the China impact?
Yeah, good question. So for those people that are kind of touching this subject and understanding why DeepSeek was such a big deal, and there's some political stuff that's out there, but the skinny is this. AI, look at it this way, spent billions of dollars as a company in general to do what they need to do. And I say billions, they said millions to create their models. But DeepSeek was able to do it at a fraction of what ChatGPT did, OpenAI. And what he's asking is, how do we see this? Well, the fact that they did it disrupted the market. In fact, NVIDIA chips went down, a lot of valuations went down because of this. Why does it matter? It's because people like us, now we can use this model like Junaid's doing, and he can look at it and say, okay, what's the secret sauce? How do they do it? And now the cost is not billions or millions. It's literally at times you can make this for hundreds of dollars. And so why does that matter? Because moving forward, if I could create the weights and I can put it on a phone and I could put it on smart devices and edge technology, or I could put it on a satellite or on a chip, now I'm able to bring down the cost. Now I'm able to do things at a really minimal cost.
I was listening to another podcast yesterday while I was driving between someplace, and it was really it had to do with China, not deep space specifically, but it had to do with sort of on the political macro level, how we're all leveraging these different LLMs. And, it used to be to the point that you were talking about, it used to be all about OpenAI. But obviously, there's multiple languages in the world and it's not just English. And so it's very limited what you can get. And so these new language models are being developed at a macro scale that are in other languages and may surpass, the capabilities that we're all familiar of, models that we're all familiar with today. And because, the prices have come down, you can do it much, much cheaper, take advantage.
Again, I want to reemphasize that you guys need to attend some of these meetings with us and hopefully support us, find us sponsors. We're going to bring this to, what do you call that? Dallas very soon. The question is a financial lifeline for healthcare. And this is, again, who's going to pay for it? And I keep saying that this is extremely important to understand, and how CMS, and I don't know if you looked at it, the new CMS guidelines, they just released the 2027. There's some striking problems that healthcare is going to fix. And as a matter of fact, the way the reimbursement is going to work, I'm actually going to be okay. I mean, being self-serving, oh my God, this is perfect timing for Save Like AI, because either they're going to use AI or they're going to go bankrupt. But anyways, go ahead, Ed. Who should pay for AI in general? Like, Like this is and we're going to talk about US only for you, and Harvey's going to take the international perspective, and Ed, throw in your AI concierge perspective too.
Well, I'm glad. I'm not a big government person, but I was glad, the article that you showed, the government's involved. And I think sometimes the government has to put out some motivation, help lead some research, to gather some of the brightest and best minds that we have and really push things forward. So I'm a believer in that, and I'm glad to see that research taking place. And so I think that's always good. I don't think we should rely on that. I believe in a great public-private partnership.
Yeah. So how do we pay for this? Or, who pays for it? Honestly, it's interesting being outside the United States. When I'm in Singapore, I'm seeing tons of money being invested and used, and they're really just jumping in and they're paying and subsidizing. And then obviously startups are just jumping on it and doing the same. And why are they doing it? Singapore is an interesting beast in the sense that their population's getting old and older, more than the average in the United States. And because of their longevity, it's creating a stress on the population because there's not enough doctors. And as a result, they're having to use AI. They're having to look at efficiency tools. But the skinny is this: they're spending money. They're investing in their company, in their government, in their people. One of the other thing is talking about the great shift. Anyone over age 40, they're retraining. Yes, they're retraining you so that you can leverage AI.
As a government policy.
Yes.
With that amazing note, we are going to see people, that transition always is hard. Continuous learning is important. AI will transform. It is the great shift of our time. Follow us. We're going to be adding more and more people soon. Help us bring these amazing conferences to Dallas itself to create an environment of continuous learning here in Dallas. Let us know if you have anything to add. Sponsor us, whatever that case may be. We'll be extremely grateful. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.